Hey guys, welcome to Valua Capital. My name is Sam and this is my partner Chris. We're going to be talking about some technical aspects of why you would choose Valua Capital over similar like competitors and what we offer and what we do differently. So Chris here has worked in many tech startups and he's been a controller / CFO for a few. He's been through the investment round funding stages. He's helped raise capital. He's also done a lot of FP&A for companies, and he's here to share some of his technical expertise on the matter. Chris, why don't you talk to us about some of the things a tech company is looking for in the early stages of looking to raise their first round of funding, and you can walk us through what that looks like.
Sure, thanks Sam. Yeah, and that takes us back to why we originally started Valua Capital. There's a lot of firms out there that focus on a whole suite of outsourced CFO and accounting and finance and tax services. What we do is we focus on what really matters, and that comes down to what helps you achieve your next phase of growth. So, you're a startup company, you need the capital to accelerate your business and to drive revenues. And in order to do that, there's a capital raise process. And along with the capital raise process comes financial modeling, budgeting and forecasting. Every investor that you go to and pitch to is going to ask you for what's your plan? What is your plan over the next 12 months and what does it look like over the next 3 and 5 years? Over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to want to see revenue and expense breakdowns. They're going to want to see the key KPIs that drive the growth and what levers you're going to put in place to drive that growth. The problem is a lot of outsourced CFO firms don't spend enough time and diligence, and they don't have the expertise in-house to perform a thorough enough job to develop a robust financial model. And that's a big shortfall, and it's one of the reasons why we started Valua Capital, to be really a specialist for financial modeling, budgeting, forecasting, and then assist with capital raising. Another problem that startups face is that they just can't access the right investor resources. They don't have a big enough network, or they're just missing those couple of connections to get them to an investor meeting, which would result in that next raise. So at Valua Capital, we focus on two major components of an outsourced CFO firm: financial modeling and capital raising. And when we do the financial modeling, we do a deep dive. We take a look at exactly what metrics matter to you if you're a SaaS-based business. We're going to look at your churn rates, your growth efficiency rate, your recurring profit margin, really dive into those metrics that investors will be looking at. And we want to make sure that when we update your financial model on a monthly basis, it is very close to actuals, and we get really involved in the planning process all the way from headcount planning and hiring and onboarding and your sales and sales development, staffing, and your marketing funnel, which not only matters internally, because if you don't put in enough work into it, then it won't be accurate, but also matters to investors.
So, we're going to get a little bit specific here. I'm a tech company right now. Let's say I have a SaaS product, like every other tech company out there currently. And I'm looking to raise a round of funding, my first round of funding.
Sure.
And I'm about to approach a few, investors. Can you tell me and walk me through what does that list look like of all the items that they should have readily available, to raise that fund, and what are investors looking at? Can you give us like a list just off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's usually a very generic, standardized list. It sometimes varies company to company depending on what industry you're in, but it'll always include things like your forward-looking plan, 5-year plan, your cap table. What shareholders do you have in the cap table? What does your stock option pool look like? How much have you set aside for key personnel like management and other employees? Do you have bylaws and agreements in place? What are your key contracts with customers? What's your customer concentration like? Do you have any significant deals with those customers, long-term arrangements? You're also going to want to have a deal room show any leasing arrangements or long-term obligations that you have in place. Maybe you've got a long-term obligation with some suppliers that are a financial liability to the business.
Would you say that the documents is like a large stack?
It's a long list, yeah.
It's a long list. And in terms of like some of the preparing some of these documents, like what is the level of expertise you need on preparing this? Can a founder and owner, someone who studied software engineering or as a computer scientist, can someone like that prepare these documents, or do they need somebody like Valua Capital or ourselves to help them? And quite honestly, like tell us.
Yeah, I mean, look, they could do it, but it would take them a long time, and it's not what they want to be doing. They want to be focusing on building their company and doing what matters to accelerate their business, and their time is better spent doing what they do best, which is growing their company and focusing on their specific skill set. And they won't necessarily know where to go and what information to pull. So,
and assuming we, a company that does this as their main business, we have templates to use, and
absolutely,
we've applied similar types of templates across different clients. So we've already prepared that list. So kind of shrinks that time.
That's right.
So they don't want to be spending like 80 hours or 100 hours doing something that might take us personally 5 or 10 hours, while they can apply that to their business and probably save their time and money indirectly by hiring us, right?
Exactly. I mean, we've been there, done that. We know the best practices, what investors will be looking for, and we can get the company prepared to raise capital and have a smooth M&A and due diligence process if they're looking to raise.
Now here's another question, and I know it might be hard to answer this, but okay, how much? Like, when I say how much, I mean, any sort of tech startup company is going to want to say, how much money can I raise? Like, I know it's a very, it's very specific to the company, but like, how would you approach that question?
Yeah, and I think it does sometimes have a bit of subjectivity when you're looking at early stage startups. Not only how much investors want to put in, but also what do the founders want to give up, or what are they comfortable with? If you find a strategic investor, it often becomes a lot more attractive and you can get a higher valuation. So, you're going to want to reach out to VCs who already have experience in the industry that you're in. It'll make the sell to them a lot easier, and it'll speed up the transaction process. In terms of how much they want to raise, you want to raise enough to hit the milestone that will set you up for success. So whether it's hitting a certain MRR or ARR level, or getting the first product to market, the first MVP of your product to market, so that you can get customers onboarded. Investors will realize that milestone, and they'll be willing to put in enough to make sure that happens. And often, the conversation goes from there.
Great. Well, thanks, Chris, for your time, and appreciate your industry insight. Do you have anything to add on what sets Valua Capital apart from its competitors? Like, just some final commentaries.
Yeah, I'd say if you're an early stage startup and looking to really scale your business, and you're not the type of startup that wants to sit back, but you really want to achieve fast acceleration, that's really what our sweet spot is and what our focus is. Again, we're not trying to focus on all of the accounting and finance. We want to help you accelerate your growth by focusing on that aspect of the finance world. So financial modeling and capital raising.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Chris.
No problem.